Need to know.
Welcome to Need to Know on 93H Live with me, Janice Teo. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about the serviced office market, the do's and don'ts in choosing your office space, and some top 5 business tips for the CEO on the go. When businesses are not in a position to invest in your own office or don't have time to deal with the hassles and distractions of office administration, a serviced office might be the solution. And today we speak with Susie Martin, General Manager for Servcorp in Southeast Asia, about the serviced office industry. Welcome to the show, Susie.
Thank you, Janice.
So tell us a little bit about this market segment. What is it providing to clients? What does it do?
Certainly. Well, we've been around for quite a while now. We actually came around because my CEO was looking for his own office space, and he discovered that he just needed a spot for himself and one other, and there was nothing around.
It always stems from your own need first, right?
Exactly right. So he discovered that he couldn't find good quality office space and support in a prestigious building that was going to look good for his clients. So that's how Servcorp came into being in 1978. What we actually do, and we have a range of industries and clients that utilise us, from small startups right through to multinational companies. We provide fully furnished premium executive office space in major cities, professional reception and waiting areas, access to state-of-the-art meeting rooms, boardrooms, world-class IT and communications infrastructure, including in-house broadband connection monitored by our own IT team, so we don't outsource it, internationally trained support services and teams, designer kitchen facilities. And then we have something else that's come around again as times have changed, which is the virtual office. So that's pretty much everything but the office.
How does that work?
Well, it came about that give clients a presence, facilities and services to use, whilst allowing them to work from home or off-site. So they can have a corporate business address in a Servcorp location, again in a major building, well-known city address, prestigious location for their business cards and letterheads, a local telephone number answered in their company name by a local receptionist, a dedicated team to assist them, and again access to meeting rooms or boardrooms to meet with their clients. And it's all for a fraction of the cost of setting up your own office.
Right. So you mentioned earlier that the types of businesses who would use a serviced or virtual office, or who would be attracted to operate from these premises, range from your startups, SMEs, to your big MNCs.
Correct.
What would those scenarios be? Why would an MNC require, say, like a floating office when they have enough clout and enough reach of their own to invest in an office space of their own?
Certainly. It's really the way that people work has really changed, and obviously the multinationals have acknowledged this. And in fact, one of our clients, and someone who I'm just quoting, they did a study, one of the large multinationals, on how their employees worked, and they found that sort of 22% of their employees worked remotely at any given time. And this study was a little while ago, so I'm sure that number's gone up.
Right, yeah.
85% did some portion of work from home. Employees spent 56% of their time not actually at their desk or at their home location, and 22% of employees' work time was outside of normal business hours. I guess there's no real surprise there. So what they realised that they needed to think outside the box in terms of the traditional office concept, and they have started using, say, a traditional office, but in conjunction with a service to virtual office. And one scenario, for example, here in Singapore, some corporations like Amex and SAP, they moved to consolidate their business. Obviously, they were trying to reduce costs, and they may have had offices that have sprung up over time. So all of a sudden, their teams are in different offices. They want to bring them all together, communication's easier, and of course, reduce the cost. But then they discover, okay, well, that works for our back of house team, those people who are, in the offices more, say your accounts team. But for your revenue producers, for your sales team, you now have them perhaps a little bit too far away from the clients that they need to meet with. So how do you then accommodate your sales team's needs? So they would then use a virtual or a serviced office in the CBD that's close to where their clients are based. So now that salesperson can invite their client into, say, our meeting room and do their presentation with them, or they can just drop into our office in between meetings. They've got all the facilities they need, the same as they'd have back in their headquarters, but it means they're not having to spend so much time in traffic jams as opposed to face-to-face with clients that they have to get to the other office and come back. So that's where, say, a major multinational would use traditional office but combine it with a Servcorp, a virtual or serviced office.
Right. Times are changing, aren't they?
Times are definitely changing.
Yeah. So how does this all translate to efficiency and cost savings for the business? So what are they really saving on?
So there's a few things. Obviously, they say the cost is one of the things they look for.
The rental. Okay.
That's right. So if they're not paying for space that someone's not sitting in. I think I said, over 50% of people don't actually sit at their desks anymore. So if you've got 1,000 employees and you have 1,000 desks and 50% of them aren't sitting there, why pay for 1,000 desks? Why not pay for 500 and then supplement that with a virtual or serviced office? So if you do have everybody all of a sudden needs to be in the office, they can be using our facilities.
And how would organizations such as yours charge your clients? Is it by days, by hours, or by blocks of time? Because that would translate to cost savings. You don't actually need to pay rental per month, for example.
Right. So to access, say, a virtual office, you're looking at a minimum monthly basis, and that will give you, depending on the package, it's around the $300 mark per month. And then for any additional facilities you use, such as the boardroom, and you can book that on as little as a 10-minute basis. So very cost effective. You're only paying for what you utilise. Same thing if you need secretarial support. You get a dedicated secretary who knows you, knows your business, knows your clients, more importantly, if she's working with you. But again, if you just ask her to work with you for an hour, that's all you're going to pay for.
Right. Are we talking about renting or paying for the entire office space or office unit, or are we talking about workstations here, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. So some clients may need their own dedicated office, which is available just to them 24/7, and then they share the other facilities, so the reception, all the IT support, etc. Or alternatively, you may have someone who just comes in literally in between meetings, just wants to sit at a workstation, grab a lovely cup of coffee, and do a little bit of work before the next meeting.
Right. Okay. Now, when people share offices like this, is there an issue of confidentiality or intellectual property at risk, or competitor industries or competitor companies coming together at the same time? You're my competitor, why are we in the same office?
Sure. Generally no, because it is such a fluid environment, and obviously because we've been around for 30 years, we've put in the infrastructure, everything, particularly say our IT. We're very careful that we're not actually storing any client information. They have direct access to the internet, so in terms of confidentiality, they don't need to be concerned that just because it's a shared environment that there's going to be issues with security.
Now, I understand that it will work perfectly well for sales teams, like you say, for example. Do you think that something like this would cater well for the creative industries, perhaps? They need a space, they can't really work off their homes. Maybe it creates a hub for the design people, the architects, the graphic designers to come together, and you create sort of like a
collaborative working environment.
Yeah. Is that catered for that as well? Are you looking into that?
Absolutely. So we do have a lot of groups that we do quite a few events to help our clients meet and to have those collaborations and how they can help one another or grow their business. And that's part of what makes us successful. I think a lot of people, you said people working from home, entrepreneurs, I think we call them mumpreneurs now as well.
Yes.
And they're working from home, but they don't want to necessarily spend 9 hours at home. So they need to come in, have somewhere that they can meet with their clients professionally, or alternatively, they may want to come in and meet other like-minded business professionals, get away from the screaming children, and do some work.
Right.
And with a virtual office, they can pick which office suits them, whether it's close to their home or close to where their client is. It's all very simple.
Really
cost
interesting.
effective.
Right. I'm chatting with Susie Martin this afternoon, General Manager for ServCorp here in Southeast Asia. We're talking about the serviced office market and how that can be cost effective for your business, floating about in offices and not really having to worry about the hassles and distractions of office administration because someone is doing it for you. Coming up, stay with us on Need to Know from the client's point of view. At what point is it economical to rent office space or move into your own office? Stay with us on Need to Know. We'll find it out from Susie in just a short while.
Need to know.
Welcome back to Need to Know on 938 Live. We're talking about the serviced office here. This might be an option for you if you're thinking of starting up your own office. Don't go head on into renting the office space yet. There are other options. My guest this afternoon is Susie Martin, General Manager for ServCorp at Southeast Asia. Welcome to the show, Susie. Now, we went through quite a number of scenarios to why some businesses might be better off starting off with a serviced office or virtual office first without renting office space. If they're working on a project, if they're checking out frontier markets, we don't know what's happening in 6 months to a year, and usually lease commitments are that long, 12, 24 months, so on and so forth. So once we've answered why they need an office in the first place, then how should they go about selecting the office space? And you're saying that the CBD may not be suitable for everyone, and just look outside of the CBD into the city fringes. That might work as well.
Sure, absolutely. So as you said, you've got to work out why do you need your office, who needs to use it, which business unit, and how do they use the space. So some of them might not be in the office very often, others may be there all the time. And when, again, that flexibility.
Yeah.
The lease, as you mentioned, 12 to 24 months, but it's really common, particularly in the CBD, for 3 years plus
Right.
3 years.
Yeah.
So where, obviously, is the question, and you mentioned the city fringe, and I guess it's part of the puzzle, and it definitely has advantages. So, it's always about location.
Yeah.
There's the transport
Right.
question.
Right.
Train, bus, road, how close it is to the airport. These are things you're going to need to consider.
Right.
How quickly is it to get to your clients or for your team to get to you? Singapore has 2% unemployment at the moment.
That's nearly full employment.
Exactly,
yeah.
nearly full employment. So you have to hire. Your team is going to be tricky. If you can be close to where they're situated, it's good work-life style balance for them. It's going to help you attract staff. So
Right.
things like that will make a difference. Of course, amenities. The urban fringes now, the developments that are there, say, compared to even a few years ago, are much different. There's a lot more retail malls, restaurants. As we mentioned, the transport links are a lot better. And amenities, there's things like childcare, gyms, all close to their homes now. So that's one of the reasons, or a few of the reasons, you'd look for, say, the city fringe as an option.
Right.
And of course, there's the cost. I mean, that's the first thing that everybody else really
yes,
looks at.
That's right. Yeah.
It's generally going to be a couple of dollars less per square foot. At the moment it's around $10 to $11 per square foot in CBD versus $6 to $7 on the city fringe.
Right.
So that will definitely make a difference. One thing I've noticed as well is the government really is moving their own ministries to the city fringe. And I think that's to free up space in the CBD. It also moves activity out there, and with activity becomes, there will be malls, there will be more things to attract you. As a quick aside, I wonder if that's got something to do with it. Singapore's now the 11th most expensive city in terms of real estate, and the government wants to make sure they don't get into the top 10 list, so they're developing those areas. A sign of progress. But, it will keep, Singapore wants to and is seen as that hub. It will keep the prices down as you grow and give the suburban areas more amenities. So
Right.
I think that's why people are making that move there. But in all honesty, it's just part of the puzzle.
Right. So let's say that a business would opt for the serviced office or the virtual office first. What is your tips or advice? What do they have to think about and keep in mind in selecting the operator of such a service?
Obviously, they want to look for, okay, what's the business address? Is it an address that people are actually going to find? There's nothing better than that taxi moment where they give you that, where are you wanting to go look? And you don't want your clients getting that when they ask for your address. Is the interior of the centre well appointed and maintained? That's your first impression to your clients, and first impressions count. Are there actually enough team to manage your requirements? So as a operator has more clients, they've got to make sure that they increase their team. You should talk to some of those team members before you sign up. These are the people who are going to represent your business. Are they well presented? Are they articulate? Can they handle situations quickly and confidently? So look at the team. Is there signage advertising the operator's name rather than, which is going to be a little bit confusing for your clients when they first come in. Power of the internet, do a Google search, see the feedback. And what sort of in-house, if any, IT support solutions do they provide?
That's really important, isn't it?
That's incredibly important. There's so many things. I mean, it used to just be, when I started many years ago with Supercorp, the most exciting technology was the fax machine.
Right.
And clients were in awe, but it was because we were always at the leading edge.
What's the latest now in your arsenal of IT solutions?
There's a few. Everything from video phones to a one phone, which allows you to take your phone numbers as if you're sitting in Singapore. So I'll call you. You can be in Tokyo or Australia, and you'll answer it as if you're sitting in Singapore. But even better, when you go to call back, it's for the cost of a local call.
Right.
So it's keeping your costs low,
right?
But meaning that you're readily accessible no matter where you're travelling.
Right. So it's a routed phone call.
Correct.
Okay. Earlier you talked about the team that will service the virtual office or the managed office. What does this team do? What is the expectation of this team? Because obviously you haven't hired this team. This team comes with serviced office. What do they do? Do they provide administrative services, or how would you expect them to know what your business requirements are?
So when you start in an environment like this, you'll get sort of, depending on the package, you will have just, I say, simple services. So the way they'll answer your calls, the way they'll route your calls, how they'll greet your clients. Although you can then have a dedicated secretary who'll get to know your business, she'll understand what you do, how you do it, and then if you want, we've had clients who've had our secretaries travel with them or plan major functions that have lasted for days, but then they're only paying for the time that they're using. So if you then go away and you're travelling and you don't have any requirement, you're not paying for it.
Right.
But when you come back next time and you want some work done, it's not a new person who doesn't understand your business. It's someone who knows what's going on.
But in the first place, you do have to invest a little bit of time to familiarise that person with your business and your requirements.
That's right. And a lot of our facilities and services are actually available online. So we use technology to make that easier. A client, when they start with us, they have their own username and password. And if they're, for instance, travelling and they want their receptionist to know, look, I'm actually going to be travelling, advise clients as such, and that I won't be able to return calls until after 4 o'clock. They can enter that information via our portal online, and the next time the receptionist goes and answers their calls, she'll see that information. She'll be able to say, oh, Janice is actually travelling. She's not going to be able to return calls till 4 o'clock.
Right.
I'll actually put you through to her secretary who'll be able to assist you with your queries.
Right.
So that way the technology allows the service.
Right. How do these executives, if you like, these administrative executives handle multiple clients and business owners if they're all hot desking in that one office? Because they'll be answering phone calls and all these phone calls be coming in for different businesses. How do they keep up with who's who and what's what?
Again, it's the technology. So because, again, when I first started, it was called a book next to the reception, and we used to update all the information there, and at the time that was the height of technology. But now we have our own in-house IT team, and they've developed the technology, so every client has their own dedicated phone number, and every time their call comes through, it triggers a database of information about that caller and their company.
Okay.
And it also, as I said, the client can update it. So I've now had ABC has joined our business. This is my major client. If they call, make sure to put them through to me.
In your business, then what is your challenge in managing all these clients and managing the real estate itself? And, you know, it sounds really attractive, though. What are some challenges you face, or what is the next level or next trend that you're trying to catch, you know, in this evolving market space here?
I think it's more about educating the market. I think that's the challenge, that it's not about just necessarily an option for when you start up your business. It's actually an option that you can use at different times and in different ways. So I think the challenge is to educate people to not actually be so short-sighted on, oh, it's literally something I only do at the very beginning of my business. So that's I think my major challenge.
Interesting. And you would have come across lots of people, your client portfolio, they're on the go. These are very busy CEOs.
Yes.
Tell us some tips, business tips for the CEO on the go. What should they do or not do?
Don't rely 100% on their mobile phone. I know myself, that moment where you're going, excuse me, pardon, what was that? And so many people just give out their mobile phone now. And if for some reason you lose it, my husband's was stolen recently, the thieves, they didn't take messages for 3 days, funnily enough. But, that's personal. Imagine if it's your business.
Yeah.
So if you've got your own dedicated phone number that ends going through to a receptionist, you can just say, these are now my new mobile details. Make sure my callers are routed accordingly.
Right.
So don't rely on your mobile phone. It would be my first one.
Right, sure.
The second one would be don't make appointments, particularly when you're trying to grow your business, in cafes and hotels. It's not necessarily the best first impression. If you're going somewhere to make a presentation to a client, why wouldn't you use meeting rooms or boardroom facilities where you can be prepared, your presentation's going to go well, and you can invite your client in, but it's convenient to them, it's in their city, and really make a good first impact, hopefully secure the deal.
Right, fair enough. And finally, let's wrap up with some takeaway points about what the serviced office market provides for prospective clients.
Everything from a professional executive office suite that you can access 24/7 hours a day, through to meeting rooms, boardrooms, reception services, and a suite of technology to support your every need. Bottom line, to help you drive revenue and keep your costs down.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Susie, for those information. Thanks very much, Susie Martin, General Manager there for Servcorp at Southeast Asia. That's a very informative session here. And we've been talking about the serviced office market and how that can help you, provide you with more options for your next office if you're thinking of setting up your office there. Thanks very much for listening. This has been Janice here on 938 Live.